Most of the time, when we think of microfiber, we think of a microfiber towel for removing polish and wax off of our car. Well, pads have undergone an evolution, and now Lake Country is the leader in microfiber pad technology. We're here in Oconomowoc, Wisconsin. Hi, Mike Phillips with Autogeek.com, and I'm with Dave Patterson, the Technical Manager of New Product Development here at Lake Country. And Dave, I gotta tell you, I've been in the detailing world all my life, and microfiber pads are one of the newest things to come out to make polishing paint and a lot of other surfaces not only faster but easier with better results. What does Lake Country have that you can share with us today when it comes to microfiber pads?
Yeah, this is our new two-step microfiber pad cutting and polishing system. It's made to utilize as a two-step, very easy and simple. It's color-coded with white as cutting and black as polishing. Black has always been associated with polishing since I've been in the detailing world, so it makes it really easy to understand what each pad is for, even if you only know what the black one's for. It kind of, pushes it out, so that can only be a cutting pad, right?
Dave, let's go deep. What makes your microfiber pads unique?
Well, one of the things is that we did a lot of research and development on for 2.5 years or so. But one of the things that we really focused on was the style of knit and the actual blend to create that cutting ability. Microfiber works fantastic, but there's a big difference in what the pad can do based on those things. So polyester is the majority of the material that makes up a microfiber, and that creates a lot of drag in it. It's an abrasive, and it creates a good cutting ability. So this pad actually utilizes multiple types of polyesters in order to achieve that. Yeah.
Don't they refer to that as polyamide, or is it polyester?
It is actually polyester, and the other component to that is polyamide, or polyimide. The polyimide makes it a little bit more absorbent, and it softens it.
Got it.
But more than just the blend of it, the actual knit style and how it's put together and the length make up the majority of it.
So the length, that's the pile height?
Yep.
Okay, so, and then this seems really dense, and so does that one. Like there's a lot of fibers per square millimeter, square inch on this thing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's hard to compare it to a towel if you would consider your GSM or your grams per square meter. Because the microfiber doesn't have microfiber on both sides. So those numbers just aren't comparable unless you divide them in half, whatever. But they are both very, very dense, but they are completely different in terms of their structure and makeup.
Okay, so I noticed that the blue foam here seems to be fairly dense, where the black foam is fairly soft.
Yeah, it's really soft. So the foam cores are much different. The blue pad, or the blue foam, is used in this pad because it's extremely consistent with heat. Because it's used for cutting. We want it to feel like it's got some cushion in it and it's buoyant. It feels nice on the machine. It doesn't start collapsing after an hour worth of use after it gets warm.
So, and one of the benefits to using microfiber, and for the most part, we're talking about using these pads with orbital polishers.
Yep, all types of orbital. Yep.
And one of the benefits then is, back in the old days, if you had to do some heavy cutting fast, you're in a body shop, a production detail shop, you would whip out the rotary buffer.
Yeah.
It's all that power. And so, but the problem with the rotary buffers, you end up with hologram scratches, the hologram swirls, and if you're not careful on the raised body lines or the edges or the corners, you could burn through the paint.
Yep.
And so the trend in the industry is to get away from using rotary buffers, at least from the finishing side, and move to the safer orbital polishers because they're easier on the user. They produce a better finish, and you get away from the burn throughs and the hologram issues.
Yeah, absolutely.
But to make up for the power that the rotary buffer offers, and to increase the ability to remove defects with these orbital polishers, that's one of the reasons we went to fiber pads.
Yeah.
Because the fibers, each fiber actually acts like a form of abrasive.
Yeah.
And so, a lot of times if you're cutting with a compound, a polish, or a cleaner wax, a lot of cleaner waxes also have abrasives in them to remove defects. So now you'd have two things working for you. You'd have the abrasive plus the fibers themselves. But because these are microfiber, which like a towel is soft and gentle to the finish, it's not coarse and scouring the paint like a traditional wool pad when you're cutting and compounding with the rotary. Instead, you're removing defects kind of in a very gentle way. Is that how you would explain that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you have your abrasive ability of the fibers themselves, but what's interesting is microfiber has very, very fine split fibers. You know, polyester is technically plastic, so with microfiber, you're able to take something like plastic and make it feel extremely soft.
Yeah.
So the advantage is there's so many little strands, and once you get your pad primed where it's got your liquid abrasive on it, the abrasives coat all those little strands. So your cutting ability is really maximized on a DA polisher.
So when we compare microfiber pads to traditional foam pads, one of the characteristics with foam is that it absorbs liquids easily. And what happens with a foam pad as you're working around the car, the foam will tend to saturate or become soggy with product, and that kind of diminishes the performance of the pad, so you need to switch to another pad often. But that's not the same with a microfiber pad.
No, it's not at all. And you know, one of the reasons that some of those problems happen is once it absorbs into the foam, it creates extra weight. So that can destroy a pad a lot quicker than some of the techniques that we use. The additional weight that's being rotated can cause problems. But with microfiber pads, there's actually a layer in between the microfiber and the foam that it doesn't just reduce or minimize it. It avoids liquids being able to transfer into the foam. So technically, all the material is just going to stay in that top layer of microfibers, and you can clean it regularly. So one of the misconceptions is some people don't like a microfiber pad because they feel like they need to clean it more often. But if you just think about it in a different way and a different perspective, really you clean that pad a little bit often, but that pad can last you longer because it's not getting saturated.
That's right. So you could buff out a car theoretically with less pads.
Correct.
And then the key then is just to clean your pad often. And a couple ways to do that is this is just a traditional like a foam pad, but this would work good if a person doesn't have an air compressor, just to periodically just take and scrape off all the gunk that builds up. I call it spent product. The abrasives are spent, they're used up. And then of course when you're working around a car, if you're abrading the paint in any way, you're removing paint. So you have two things building up on the face of any pad, and that's spent product and removed paint.
Yeah.
Another way would be
brushes work fantastic, and I use both methods, but to remove the residue, you get a lot of it with your brush, but if you want to blow it all out and you have the compressor or compressed air to use, it's really one of the best ways, and it doesn't really damage the foam because it's not going past that layer, and it really pushes it all out. So I typically will use a standard blowgun or even a Tornador gun. The Tornador blowgun tends to fluff the fibers up really well too, which is one of the reasons I like it, but both work just as well for the most part, and it really cleans all that residue out, or majority of that residue out, a little bit better than a brush.
Yeah, and that's the key thing about microfiber pad. Clean your pad often, so when you put fresh product on, you're not diluting it or polluting it.
Yeah, and one of the main things that I guess I wanted to touch base on is just how you prime the pad. So with 2.5 years of testing them, one of the things that we did was prime pads. And what I found, regardless of which pad you're using, I will spray, you can use any type of water. I have a water filter in my shop, so I spray deionized filter just out of a spray bottle, and I actually rub the pad in with water. And what it does is, if you spray it with water before any liquid polish or compounds touch, it actually helps spread those fibers apart, so it won't mat down as fast. And I noticed a significant difference by priming with water.
Okay, little tip there from Dave on how to prime using water first, then the product that you're going to use.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you know, you've got two different types of pads here, one for major correction, your cutting pad, then you got your finishing pad.
Yep.
And these can be used on any type of orbital polisher. And where can people get more information about the Lake Country Microfiber Pads?
You can find all the details on our website at www.lakecountrymfg, as in manufacturing.com.
And of course, they come in different sizes too.
Yeah, we have a full range of sizes from a 1-inch pad all the way to a 6-inch backing plate.
So everything you need to switch over or start using microfiber pads. It's amazing technology. It's great to see all these changes come to our industry.
It's amazing.